You ain't heard a podcast like this one, brother. On Real Talk with your host, Tiny. Real Talk on Real Talk.
Pressure's on now.
Nah, you got that. How did you get into fishing, and who first took you out?
So my granddad first took me out. I had two. One came every single Saturday and would bring us some sort of biscuit and would take us out fishing. And then at the end of the day, we'd go get some lunch at a little gas station. We did that every Saturday.
Got you. What was your favorite biscuit for him to bring you? Or what biscuit did you look forward to him bringing you?
I like the steak and cheese.
I like steak and cheese biscuits too. What was the first fish that really got you hooked?
Well, so we have a little pond up above the house I grew up in, and my dad always told me there was no fish in that pond. Well, in 2016, I was up there just fishing for some bluegills before I even started my YouTube channel, and I caught a 6-pounder. And then ever since then, it's just been bait caster, bass, haven't looked back.
Yeah. You remember what you caught that bass on? What you was using?
I want to say it was a frog. I think that was my first ever topwater frog fish.
I got you. If you could only fish one species for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Probably largemouth. They're special little creatures to me.
I always get cracked up whenever I'm watching you live. It's so funny because, for me, like here in Kentucky, where I fish here locally, anyways, like if you get a 1.5 pound, 2 pound largemouth, like you get excited.
Yeah.
And it's so but it's funny though, is because like I've watched you before, and you catch like a 12 or 13 inch largemouth, and you're like, I didn't want you. And it cracks me up, man. Every time I'm watching you fish, get a chance to, but I'm like, man, I was like, she's mad that she caught that one. I'd be like, heck yeah, son, I'm gonna put this one on the wall,
My little brother loves it. We call them little booger fish. We don't want those. We want the big.
You say little booger fish?
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember that one. When you're out fishing, what technique do you feel most confident with?
Definitely the Texas rig. If anybody watches my YouTube and all the other stuff, I always have a Texas rig tied on.
I got you. What you bullet weights?
A peg Texas rig, normally 3/16 ounce weight or 1/4 ounce. Really don't go too heavier than that unless I'm fishing really deep.
You prefer the tungsten or what brand you usually use?
So a little company called RPE, I think they're out of North Carolina. They reached out a long time ago, and they have bulk packs available, and their price is just unbeatable, and they're really good. Insert free.
What Boogie says, the shaky thing.
The shaky. I got some right here.
I sold a lot of the shaky things at the Corbin show. I think I only got like 3 packs of them left.
We got a new size.
Yeah.
That's a 3.8.
And we were talking about techniques. What is a fishing skill that you think gets overlooked?
One of my favorite things that I don't see a whole lot of people doing anymore is watching the animals. If you watch a bird, they'll tell you where the bait fish are. And you don't need a sonar or any fancy little gadget. You just have your eyeballs. The thing that the good Lord gave you. And you look and you see if you can find a bird, crane, wherever. 9 times out of 10, there's bait fish right there. And you'll catch a fish every time.
Well, see, I'm going to have to do some digging around and figure out where I heard this from. It was on a podcast or watching YouTube. It may have been on TikTok. But a guy was talking about paying attention to your surroundings on your way to the water. And he said, if you see, cows up moving around, deer, turkeys, and, all wildlife in general being active on your way to the water, he said, your chances are you're going to have a really good day of fishing. He said, and it's just a superstition, I guess. He said, I'm not saying if you're heading to the lake and you don't see any animals, don't go fishing. He said, but I've paid attention to that over the years. And he's more or less, he said, on days that he sees other wildlife active, he has better days on the water compared to on days that he doesn't.
I'll have to pay attention to that. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. And, I mean, I always chase the frying pan, first before I start bass fishing at the lake anyways. But I mean, I have paid attention to it a little bit, not a ton. But every time I see it, like if I'm with my brother, I'm like, oh, right there, look there, there's 4 or 5 deer. It's like, we're going to wear them out today. And then we almost get a limit, might just be luck. And, I mean, the thing about it is, whenever me and Big Country was doing this last year, I had a couple, female anglers on, last year too. And it was brought up by one of them. So this is the main reason why I'm going to ask you, but have you ever had a moment where you felt underestimated on the water?
All the time. All the time.
And can you kind of explain or, elaborate a little bit on why?
Well, when I get on my lives, there's always these people that, live in their little dungeons or wherever they may live that think that women only belong in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Their favorite saying is for me to make them a sandwich, and then my favorite thing to do is to pull out a gigantic bass. That's my favorite.
So
I would love to see the look on their face.
more or less, it's just the trolls and stuff. I mean,
Yeah, pretty much.
and it and that's the thing. Like I have people, I felt underestimated whenever I first got on here too. Growing up in Eastern Kentucky, I've got the Southern drawl, the hillbilly. I'm a proud Appalachian, is what I tell people. But I mean, it's just I wasn't sure what to expect. But once you do it for a while and you get the hang of it, and I every once in a while I get them come in my live and I just laugh at them.
It's a fun. They have nothing better to do. It
No.
used to bother me, but now like I know what I'm doing when I hop on a live, and if I don't, I'll just flat out say, "Hey, y'all, I can't know how to catch any fish today."
Yeah.
We just make a joke out of it.
Oh yeah. What advice would you give women who want to get into fishing but feel intimidated?
Just do it. I mean, you can watch a video anywhere, any platform, learn how to do something. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, that's why I like to put myself out there, because before I started, there was a lot of females on different platforms that helped me gain confidence to do, what I'm doing now. I go live almost all the time fishing, and I don't really care if I make a mistake anymore on live, because it shows new anglers, female anglers. It's okay to look crazy online. Everybody's
Yeah.
learning every single day. You learn something new. So
That's a fact. What was your worst day of fishing that turned into a good story?
So that time last year, I lost a fish that had to have been 13 pounds, and it was live. And I was so upset over that fish. Everybody could see it all over my face on the live. Everybody was just giggling, laughing, throwing a joke up. And I ended up catching, I think, a 9 pounder right after that. So it made the day a little bit better. And then that live ended up being very popular because they saw me flip out over a gigantic fish. I was halfway out of the kayak screaming. So
Is that the one where you said you thought you was going to pass out?
no.
Okay. I sorry to bring that up.
That's a close second, though. Everybody loves that video.
Yeah. It cracked me up. I was in there that day. You was like, oh my God.
I did, though. My head started feeling like it was spinning, and I thought I was going to fall out of that kayak.
Hey, it happens all the time. And since we're kind of, talking about embarrassment moments or, things that was embarrassing but turned into a good day, but here's a good one for you. What's the most unnecessary piece of fishing gear you own?
That's a tough one. I want to say my graph because I know I don't need it. That would probably be my graph.
Your graph?
I don't need
Okay.
it.
Well, and here's the thing. You know, there are several people that's in here that has probably heard me say this 1,000 times. But whenever I bought my pontoon, like the kayak, I never did have a graph on my kayak.
Mhm.
But whenever I got the pontoon, I was like, I want a live scope.
Yeah.
And I sold my Harley Davidson to get my live scope and my trailer motor and everything else. And Kenny says, you don't need red shade. But in my opinion, and just like what Bass Junkie Bates just said, he said electronics are overrated. It's a good tool to help you find them, but it ain't going to guarantee you're going to catch them.
Yep. It takes a while to learn to know what you're actually looking at, and I still don't. So I could leave it out.
The best part about a graph is at least having it at the steering wheel so you know you ain't going to bottom out. If fish could talk, what species do you think would talk the most trash?
I feel like a crappie would. They're aggressive little boogers, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like they would bully bass.
I, I would have to agree with you on that one. And I didn't expect that, but whenever you said it, and I'm sitting there thinking, and the reason being, she said a crappie, but it's a crappie. But me and my buddy was night fishing down on Cherokee in Tennessee, and this crappie, it had to be at least, I mean, it was big. I don't know exactly how big it was, but it would have fit in a good sized cast iron skillet. I'll say that. But as he was bringing it up to the top of the water, it come off the line.
Mm.
And it was like in slow motion. It was like it turned and it floated there for a second. And then it turned back straight and had like a slow whip, kind of like a middle finger sticking up at you.
Punch to the face.
And my buddy, he's like, did you just see that? And I was like, yeah. He was like, he said, it was flipping me off, basically. I said, ha ha, not today.
Well, if you think about it, crappie and bass eat pretty much the same thing. And I've always been told that if you have a lot of crappie that are big, the bass really won't get that big because they're fighting for the same forage. So I always think of crappie as the little bass bullies.
That makes sense. How would you mentally reset after a bad day on the water?
I want to give you a pretty answer, but we'll just lay it all out there. So when I have a bad day on the water, as soon as I end that live, I literally sit on the ground and I scream for a second. You got to, because if not, you're gonna make the ride home, and then you're just gonna be like this the whole time, and you're just gonna be. So I try to get it all out before I even load the kayak back up.
I understand that. What would you say that what separates a good angler from a great one?
One that does not think that they're better than everybody, and that can constantly take advice without getting butt hurt. I'm always in people's lives, and I like to listen to Kenny, even though he doesn't throw red shad and he's crazy for that. But I'll sit there and listen to Kenny because at some point he's going to teach me something that I don't know, and I'm going to take it and run with it.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing that I love about being here and meeting so many different people. It ain't every day that you get someone that's humble like Kenny or, Fast Eddie. I mean, there's a bunch of people that I could sit here and name. I don't want to start naming names because I'll forget one. But anytime that you can get advice from someone like Kenny or Eddie, people need to listen to those guys. I mean, even you,
Lots of wisdom.
Even you, if someone's just getting into fishing and they're not sure, like if you're new in here and you're not following 706 Fishing, pick her up because you're going to learn a lot from her. And
The good Lord blesses me all the time.
that's it. My next question I had for you was, how much of fishing is skill versus luck, do you think?
I mean, I can't put a number on it, but I would definitely say that you got to have more skill than you do luck because at the end of the day, having a whole ton of luck isn't going to help you if you cannot put two brain cells together and figure a pattern out. If you don't have that, then luck isn't going to get you anywhere. The fish ain't going to jump out the water for you.
And this is like I answered that for someone a long time ago. I said, you have to have the skill to get the luck to catch them. You got to know, where you have to have a general idea of knowing where the fish are going to be in certain conditions. And Brian says 706, where are you from? I think she's from Atlanta, Brian.
Atlanta. I'm not from Atlanta, but that's what I tell everybody.
She is from Georgia, but not Atlanta, Georgia. Do you have a pre-fishing routine? If you do, what's it like?
So it all starts here in this house. I put about 6 to 8 rods on this dining room table, and I bring all my tackle in the house. And I'm like, hey, this is what the temperature is. I want to put this on, and then I always have a Texas rig on. But I rig what I think is going to work. I get to the body of water, see if it's different than what it was at the house. And typically, I keep the same thing on and be stubborn, but sometimes something will click in my brain. I'm like, hey, they're more deep than you think. So I try to always have at least one column of the water, at least on one of my rods. So obviously we're not doing top water right now because it's freezing cold, but something like semi-shallow, middle of the water column, and then something deep. And then you throw something like that, you can develop a pattern very quickly based off of how aggressive they bite it, and if they just kind of pick it up and just drop it. You can kind of tell what they want to do.
He's asked, what's your favorite rod to use?
So currently I'm sponsored by Powell Rods, and my favorite one that they make is the Naked series. It's a 735, I think. It's a medium heavy. 7-1 medium heavy I have like 6 of those.
One that I get asked a lot too. And unfortunately, I mean, we'll get into bait making and stuff here in a little bit, but how do you balance fishing for fun versus fishing for content?
So here lately, a lot of people have asked me where I have been with the lives, and I've been so focused on catching fish that I have not cared about content lately. And sometimes I get in those moods. Like, yes, I want to film a video of me just whacking bass, and then other times I just want to be like grounded and enjoy what I'm doing because I don't have a cutoff. I'm either aggressive in making content and making sure I'm entertaining people, or having the time of my life and I'm not worried about what camera angle I have. If somebody's saying something negative on the live, if I look crazy, it's just I don't really have a balance. It's either or. I either make content or I have these little times where I don't pick up the phone at all.
Yeah. And that's literally usually if I'm out fishing, like if you see me post content and it's just pictures of fish, that means I was out that day fishing just to be fishing, get stuff off my mind, relax. But if you see videos, that's whenever I'm out actually trying to get footage, videos, stuff like that. But you got to have the balance though, or it always is going to feel like work, or it would for me anyways.
Well, it does, and it's so stressful because you're trying to put out the best content that you can, and I feel like I'm not as good of an angler as I am when I'm just focused on catching the little fish.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, and really and truly, that's what I tell people. Whenever you go live fishing, you're on the spot. I mean, you were on the spot. And there's been times, that I've been blessed by the TikTok guides, wade fishing. I think the most I've had in one live, I think was 600 and something. You can, Pooh can correct me because she's one of my mods and a couple of others. But one day I had about 600 to 700 people consistently in my live while I was fishing. And I was just jackhammering the smallmouth. I mean, it was one after another. And then there's been times that I've went live and I've not even got a bite. I done a 3.5 hour live wade fishing and didn't catch a fish. But my nephew figured it out. We were wading upstream and he was always staying like 10, 15 yards ahead of me.
Mhm.
And I was like, he's figured me out, because that's how I always do him, is I'll stay ahead of him. And I'll usually find a hole. Usually after I catch, 2 or 3, I'm like, come down here and throw, because I know they're all stacked up, in the rocks. But Alabama Fishing was asking earlier, he said, topwater, or no, what was it? Would y'all agree nothing compares to a topwater bite? I would agree with that.
Yeah. Like a dinosaur is coming up out of the water. There's no rush like it.
Last junkie said, what's a good camera for content? I just use my iPhone.
So I use my phone for lives, and then I'll do like some vertical content with it, but my favorite is my Action 5. That's the best action camera you can get.
Do you have the 360 GoPro? Do you like it pretty good?
I got the DJI. Now, I haven't got to use it yet because as soon as I got it, it got cold, and I haven't been in the kayak yet. And then I've been getting so busy fishing that I haven't been playing with it. But so far, I messed around with it in here, and it looks fun. I got it for when I lose a gigantic fish, I can just pan, and y'all can see the fish that I saw.
Yeah. What's something followers don't see behind the scenes?
How much preparation goes into each trip?
That it's so funny. My wife, she says all the time, she says, you getting ready to go for, I mean, just like if we're just not even, well, even if we go out just to have fun on the pontoon as a family, I'm still probably, fishing. Like, I don't know if you've seen the video last year. I grabbed a Bucky's pool noodle and pretty much put it between my legs and was floating on it. Grabbed my trusty ugly stick, put me a lure on, and swam over and started throwing back at a little point, and ended up catching a little small bass. But they was like, only you, I was like, I ain't ever caught a fish on a Bucky's pool noodle or a pool noodle in general. So I said, I'm gonna try it.
Look, you got to make it fun.
Well, this year, I'm gonna get a big like duck inflatable and blow it up and see if I can get in it and catch one while we're out.
You need to have you seen those ones that's got the little joysticks that are motorized? I've been wanting to get one, but I'm scared I'd fall out of it and ruin a camera.
Is it the Go Boat?
No, it's like they have a duck one, and then they have, I think it's a unicorn, but they're motorized pool floats.
I've never seen them.
They're
I'm
like
gonna be-
$50.
I'm gonna be
Look
doing
them
some.
up.
I'm gonna be doing some Google searches once we get off here tonight. While I'm waiting to hear, what's some advice that you would give to an angler that's trying to grow online?
Be yourself. There's too many people out here that get on here and they're like, they put my little, and they get all prim and proper, and then they don't know what they're talking about. I'd much rather somebody get on here with their hair halfway sticking out going, well, I don't know how to rig this, but can somebody in the comments explain this to me? Or I learned this by watching a video, so we're going to do it together type thing. Just be real, because you aren't going to grow with a fake personality on the internet. And the crazier you are, I feel like the more people like you, because I never would have thought that people liked seeing me crash out on the internet. And I think that's people's favorite things, is to watch me get mad over a big fish loss.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like it was so funny. I told Larry this the other day. I had a guy show up at the booth down in Corbin. Didn't tell me his name on there or whatever, and ain't no big deal. I had never seen him before. And he just popped up out of nowhere. It was on Sunday, the last day. And we were sitting there talking and this, that, and the other. And he left, and he come back like 2 or 3 different times. You know what I mean? And we just sit there and bull crap and he'd leave. And he come back and he said, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. He said, I've been following you on TikTok for about a year. He said, and I was just coming back. He said, just to see if you was the same in person as you was online. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He said, most people would have got aggravated. He said, I was like, man, I was like, I said, I ain't busy. I said, if I was busy, I'd be like, give me just a second. You know what I mean? And I'll get back to you. This guy's got a question over you. I was like, it ain't like I'm picking money over talking to you, but it's kind of hard to ignore someone that's standing over here, with $25, $30, worth of lures sitting here. Like, hey, will you please check me out? And Pooh come to my rescue on Saturday, though. I will say that. Pooh popped up out of nowhere, and I was so happy whenever I seen that.
I know, I want to be hurt really bad. We always have the running joke that they're going to put all of us in a padded room if we get together.
And then
I will say that I am different off of this live than I am in real life because in real life I do not have a filter.
ain't nothing wrong with that. I tell
So
people that all the time. I said, I'm what you see, what you get. You either like me or you don't. And,
yeah.
I try to treat everybody right and be respectful. And yeah, I'm a little bit vulgar sometimes in my jokes, but
Well, see, no, I mean, like I'm really shy. Like, if me and you were to meet face to face I would probably hide in a corner until somebody drug me to you to meet you. But then once I got comfortable, I'm like a terror. I just things just fly out of my mouth.
well,
But it's
my
like that
wife,
initial anxiety.
my wife hates it because she like we'll go on. We was at Universal this past, and I was just sitting there bull crapping with someone in line, and we got done. She's like, did you know them somehow? And I was like, no. She's like, you don't ever meet a stranger anywhere you go. I'm like, it's just me, Sorry. It ain't like we were trying to get to dinner and we were running late. We were standing in line for 3 hours to go in the Terrifier haunted house. I was bored. Guy had a fishing shirt on, so I started talking to him about fishing.
Hmm.
Are you sponsored, or who are all your sponsors? Who do you pro staff for?
So I'll just kind of go over the bigger ones. First of all, me. I am my biggest sponsor. I put so much time and money and effort into all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then one that's been around for a very long time is Monster Bass. So I have been working with Monster Bass since 2019 when they launched. Me and Alex Rudd and a whole bunch of other people were kind of, heading it off for a little bit, I guess, what you'd say. And then so I've been with them for a while. That's a little tackle box subscription company. So Native is probably one of my biggest as far as monetary value, I guess you would say. So they're owned by Big Adventures, and both Native and Bonafide have sent me a kayak. So Bonafide provided a river kayak, and then Native has my Slayer Max, which is the one y'all see me fishing out of all the time. Looking to branch out into the more river scene, as far as that other kayak goes, but that's probably my biggest one. And then Powell is my rod sponsor. I absolutely love Keith over there at Powell. He is awesome. Lets me kind of be creative with whatever I ask for. Even kind of working with him on some components, hopefully. I think that's pretty much it for the sponsors. I know I've had a crap ton of people send me stuff, but those are probably the three main people that I would actually say that I'm partnered up with as far as getting a product and having a contract on what I should be doing. Now, those contracts do not say that I have to promote a certain product. It's simply because they liked the message that I was trying to promote. They loved my energy, which is crazy to me because I was like, why on earth would you give a crazy girl a kayak? Like, what? Look, I literally asked the man, his name is Tyler Brown. I asked him, I said, I'm just amazed that y'all picked me out of all of the other people that you could pick, and you decided to give me a kayak. Like, I am so grateful. I don't think no other brand out there compares to Native. That I will never, even if we ever decide to cut ties, that will be my kayak of choice for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Can't recommend it enough.
Well, I've asked you a ton of questions. You got any for me?
Yeah. What got you into the bait making?
Well, I was asked this last week. I was pro staffing on here for a casting pool and Headwaters Outdoor Company, Rock Creek Baits, couple other ones, and it just I had an idea. You know what I mean? Popped in my head one day. So I asked a couple of them. I was like, "What do you think about me starting a business?" I said, "Buying and reselling, your soft plastics." And I was like, and where I'm sitting at right now is the barbershop. This is where my business, I don't have it set up. I got it broke down because of the shows, but over here to my left is kind of where my display is. So Natalie owned the barbershop. It was Nat's barbershop at the time. And the N in TNN is Nat, is what that is, is her name. So I hit her up and I was like, she likes to hunt and fish. And I was like, you want to let me set up some bait and tackle stuff in the barbershop? And she was like, yeah, let's try it. So set it up in here. And then it was about 2 or 3 months. I was like, how's it going? She was like, good. She was like, just everybody's asking me if anything's made locally. And the answer wasn't, it's all made in the US, but not here local. So I'd seen guys like, 3D printed lures, Paul Tart, Fingerprint, a couple others painting fishing lures, but way before I even started this. And once Natalie asked me that question, I was like, well, I'm going to get some blanks and, cheap airbrush, stuff like that. I used to paint model cars whenever I was a kid, so I had a little bit of knowledge of how airbrush worked, thinning the paint, stuff like that. And just give it a try. And that's literally how and why I even started painting, was just so if someone asked, is anything made locally? Yeah, the hard baits are,
The hard thing to do is, I don't think I could pick up the airbrushing thing. I don't have enough patience for it.
It's not easy. I won't say that. And I'm not an expert by no means. I'll never claim to be an expert because I'm not. There's a lot more talented and better painters out there than me. But at the end of the day, if I quit the business at the end of the year, I will paint fishing lures the rest of my life. It's one of the funnest things outside of fishing, I believe.
But I love the plastics.
Yeah.
You can just be creative with it, and it's a good outlet. It's a good hobby other than fishing.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, it's something that I can do with my youngin too. Like every once in a while, it ain't a lot, especially whenever I'm getting ready for shows, but it's something that she'll have memories of doing with me whenever she gets older. And one of these days, I'm just going to sit her down and just say, here's your 3 or 4 colors. Do whatever you want to, and I'm not going to tell her nothing. I'm just going to let her go.
I've been dabbling with the whole jig tying. I ain't convinced that I like it or not yet, but I promised myself that I'd try something new this year, and I figured it'd be something good to go with the shaky things. Offer one jig with a pack of shaky things.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be no production because it looks like a 3-year-old did it, but I'm having fun learning with it. I will say though, there's somebody on this live that's gonna get a gigantic tackle care package here coming soon, and I really hope that they like it.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Bounce off of that one, but what got you into making baits?
Oh, man, so he actually popped in my live a little while ago, and I almost fangirled real hard. I had to contain myself, but I have watched Chris Jones make baits for the longest time, and I like before I even graduated nursing school, I would stay up just watching him make colors. I'm like, oh my goodness, that looks so fun. And then I got on TikTok and I started, I can't remember how I ended up in Larry's live, but I ended up in Larry's live and I was like, I can do that. Like I can make some revolutionary colors and I can probably catch a big fish on it. Well, little did I know I would have the time of my life. I'm really glad that I decided to do something new with it because probably one of the funnest things I've ever done is
Yeah.
making little baits. I could do it for hours.
Yeah.
Even in the cold, I sat out there for 3 hours today making baits.
That's me. I mean, it's so funny. You know, it's therapeutic for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like fishing. Like I'm sitting there, I'm concentrating. Anything that's went wrong during the day, the week,
Yeah.
like it's so funny because like I can be in a bad foul mood and go in and sit down at the booth and sit in there and paint a lure, just playing around for 25, 30 minutes, and my whole mood be different. It just flips it like a light switch.
Well, it makes me feel like a kid again. Like
Yeah.
I'll be coming up with a color and I'm like, ooh, a gigantic bass is gonna eat this. And then you get excited. And then you have to wait for it to cure or whatever. Well, half the time when I'm making baits for me, I just put it in a bag because I'm gonna take it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to rig this up on my pole. And then it connects. You build a bait, you take it out, and you catch a gigantic fish on it. You just feel complete. I don't know how to describe it. Like even when you send me stuff like your hard baits, I get so excited when I catch a fish on it. I'm like, y'all, Tiny made this for me. Look at this.
And that's the one thing, and that's what I was telling traveling, on last episode was, I said, there's nothing wrong with big name box brand baits. I was like, a lot of people were like, so you mean to tell me if Rapala or someone, I'm like, listen, I was like, you're misunderstanding the entire point here. I said, I'm trying to bring something new and different that people aren't used to, and that's the relationship with a company.
Yeah.
I was like, it's no offense, but if I go and buy a bag of brand name baits, I don't know who made them. I don't get to ask them questions. I don't get to talk to any of the other anglers that are fishing with them. I don't get to see how they're fishing with them. You know what I mean? And that's the difference in the small bait making community that I liked so much and wanted to start a business solely with small bait makers is one, where I grew up with. You always do business with the small businesses first because that's how they survive. And two, you don't only get the relationship with the bait company or the maker, but you get the relationship with all the other anglers that fish with their products too. So
Well,
that's
that and you're catching fish on something that your friend made, and I just
yeah,
think that's the coolest thing in the world.
it is.
Like my friend made this in their house.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah. What is your favorite memory of a bait you made and caught on it? My favorite memory is whenever I painted the Alabama Slammer Whopper Plopper for Alabama Fishing, and he caught that 10.5 pound largemouth on it. Like, still to this day, I have, like, whenever he texts or calls me, that's the picture I have on my phone. It's that picture of him sitting there holding that big bass, and I'm still dumbfounded that a fish that big was caught on something that I painted.
Hmm.
So what about you, Miss Hannah?
So last year during the spawn, I took my little brother out and I was trying to teach him how the spawn works. And there just happened, it looked like a maybe 2, 3 pound bass right next to a tree. And it just kept circling. Like it was on a bed. You could see the bed far off, but it'd come off of it and then it'd come back. And so I had this is a 3 inch stump thumper. It's a Z crawl. And it in June bug color. And I pitched it over there and I'm like, I want you to watch this bait and watch how this bass reacts. I'm like, this is the funnest thing that you will ever see in your life. And I was just hopping it along. I'm like, watch this fish. And the little 3-pounder was nose diving on it and it was getting ready to eat it. And he goes, okay, I see it. I'm like, all right. So we're going to set the hook when this fish gets it in its mouth. All of a sudden, this brick wall, it was like a big thunderstorm, just come over the 3-pounder and just swallowed it. And I'm like, oh, you get to see me catch a 6-pounder. Heck yeah. And he got all excited. He was like, oh, it's a big fish. I'm like, oh, it's not that big. It's 6. It's fine. It's fine. Come on. I'm like, pick it up. I can't pick it up. And I'm like, okay, well, let me get it. So I pick it up and I'm like, this might be 8. And I'm like, go get my scale real quick. And we put it on the scale and it was 11 pounds. And I was like, woo. And I got all excited. I'm like, you just watched me catch my PB. Instantly started crying because I'm just a girl. All right.
Yeah.
And girls are emotional. Okay. Well, it was really special to me for me to be able to have my little brother there and me catching my PB and him watching and me teaching that. I'm never going to be able to top that moment ever.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And he was sitting there, he was like, why are you crying? I'm like, because I made this bait. You're here with me and you get to watch me release this big fish. I just loved it. That was my favorite.
That's a good memory. Ready for no time to retime?
Okay.
Fish you hate catching.
Bluegill.
Boat snack you'd fight over.
Beef jerky.
Have you ever named a fish?
Yes.
What was his name?
Bertha.
Favorite excuse when you get skunked?
The fish don't like me.
Go to knot.
I don't know. It's the one you tie 8 times and then I don't know the name of it.
What's your confidence color?
Probably June bug.
June bug. I got you. Well, that was all of them. See here, it wasn't painful. How long have you been making baits now?
Well, actually, yesterday was a year. It popped up in my memories. That's crazy.
Yeah. Brian says my favorite excuse is Tiny cheated. I took Brian fishing with me over at Will Green here in town. He's fished MLF and stuff. I outfished him, so I give him a hard time all day that I outfished a tournament angler.
See, that's why I don't take a whole lot of people fishing because every time I take somebody fishing, I don't catch anything, and it really makes me mad. I'm like, it's just because you're here. Like,
Yeah. It's
you're
funny.
bad luck.
Two little quick comebacks that I've used. Like if I'm fishing with my buddy, I'm on the back of the pontoon and I'll be wearing them out. Like we'll go bluegill fishing, trying to chase the frying pan.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be like, man, he's like, what are you doing back there? And I said, well, I'm catching. What are you doing? He won't be catching a thing. But my favorite thing I ever told someone talking trash, it was my wife's grandfather. And I was night crappie fishing with him. And I was just wearing them out one after another. And he said, hey, man, he said, you ain't supposed to come on another man's boat and out fishing. And I looked over at him and I said, well, I'll let you reel the next one in. I said, that I hook. And he went, God almighty. He said, I've worked in the coal mines, been in the military. He said, I ain't ever had nobody talk that kind of trash to me before. But I was like, well, you got to have fun.
You do. And I love picking on Kenny. Kenny, I swear, man, if I could just get Kenny down here and we could fish together, that would make my entire life. But it's got to be live.
I told Kenny I want to get out on Del Hollow with him.
And look, I'll be the first person to say, now, I don't fish the lake a whole lot, mainly because the lakes around here are really deep reservoirs. So anybody in the comments that knows where I actually live knows that the lakes around me are really deep. And that's not a skill that I know. So I'm not good at it. That's something I plan on changing this year. I'm going to force myself to get out there and learn how to deal with it to better be able to handle stuff, because this year I want to branch out. I'm working with a local tackle shop about getting a kayak tournament series for my lake because it's mainly just big bass boats. And I got a boat, but I don't want to pay that gigantic entry fee because I'm not going to win it. I don't know what I'm doing. I want to start out small and hopefully, can gain a skill set off of that. But I like the shallow water fish. That's me. I put me in some dirt and I will kick anybody's butt. Fairly competent.
Saber says, do you have a scope or eagle eye or something?
No, but I am looking at the eagle eye because Kenny keeps talking about you ain't scoping, you're hoping. So I was looking at the eagle eye last night, but I ain't got eagle eye money right now, so that'll be probably next year. I'm one of them people where I like to buy stuff that I think of like right then. I'm not good at saving up money. So
I get it. I'm the same way. Casting Pool, Adventure, LT Jigs, Hiya Bait Company, Charles Sassy Fishing, Bypass Bait and Tackle, the Cane Pole, the Barber Shop, Backwaters Outfitters, and then TNN Custom Lures.